Isaiah was sent by God to announce to a people who had suffered 50 years of exile, to announce to them that it's time to rejoice. They're going home. They're going to rebuild their lives and rebuild their temple. Rejoice is what God was telling him to tell the people of Israel. John the Baptist, we're told, was sent from God to give testimony to the light, to give testimony to the joy that was coming in the one that no one yet recognized. But John was there to tell us he is coming. When you were baptized as a prophet. The words say, I baptize you as priest, prophet, and king. By baptism, we are prophetic people. We're called, all of us, I think, to be messengers of joy, to be messengers of the good news. Gregory, you're wearing a nice pink shirt today. Would you deliver this message to the two people who are visiting today from Pittsburgh? You're going to deliver the message to the two people from Pittsburgh. Now they're going to have to stand up, so you know who they are. You don't have to be here, you just have to give them the message. Okay?
Greg.
There they are.
Greg, walk back here.
He's going to give them the message. Got two more of these.
Good job.
George, would you deliver a message? Maybe not. George? Good guy.
There we go.
I knew you
Okay.
You're going to give that message. Who would you like to give it to? Why don't you give it to Pablo, who's sitting there behind you? Johnny, you want to be a message man? I knew you could be. Why don't you deliver this message to Tom, who's sitting behind you? No, not that Tom. That's your dad.
Oh,
There you go.
yeah, we.
All Tom's with the library.
Just trying to cultivate a little joy.
Good job. St.
Thomas Aquinas, who I rarely quote because he's not a Franciscan. But he says, joy is an outward sign of faith. It's evidence of a soul's charitable disposition and love of God. He said, holy cheer is a virtue to be cultivated, actively cultivated, as an operative habit, even as a Christian duty. So joy is not just something that sort of happens to us by the circumstances of our lives. He says it's a virtue. It's a virtue that has to be cultivated. It's not just coming sometimes naturally. Just like you cultivate a garden, you work at it, you cultivate it. You have to cultivate joy if we're going to really experience what that is. St. Francis of Assisi, obviously I quote more often, put it in his rule. He put in the rule to his friars. He said, let them be careful not to appear outwardly as sad and gloomy hypocrites, but show themselves joyful, cheerful, and consistently gracious in the Lord. Now, it's kind of hard to legislate joy, but Francis thought it was important to do so. It's in our rule. We are not allowed to be sad and gloomy hypocrites. I'm pretty good at keeping some of the rule, but there's a lot in that rule to follow. But I kind of like this one. I don't want to be a sad and gloomy hypocrite. Rather, he wants us to be joyful, cheerful, consistently gracious in the Lord. When we come in this time of Advent to this third Sunday, gaudete is the word, to rejoice. The church also knows that it's important to cultivate joy. And so on the Sunday, before we get to the very darkest day of the year, the day coming when there's the least amount of daylight, the church invites us to bring that light into the world. It's almost like the first streaks of dawn. Some of those beautiful mornings where you see the pink in the sky as the sun is about to rise. So the church, with that gorgeous streamer and that third pink candle, announcing that the light is coming, the dawn is about to come, the sun is going to rise, the Son of God is about to be here. And so the church, too, is saying, we need to rejoice. We're in the midst of this kind of somber Advent color of purple. But all of a sudden, it's like, no, we're almost there. Let's put a streak of pink into the church, a streak of pink into our lives, and announce that the light is coming into the world. Brothers and sisters, all of us are meant to be messengers. Not just the three folks that helped me this morning, not just Isaiah, not just John the Baptist, but by virtue of our baptism, that prophetic call, we are encouraged to be announcers of good in a world that can sometimes overwhelm us with what's evil and bad. It's kind of hard, though, to say to somebody who is deeply grieving, rejoice. It's kind of hard to say to people, Christians in the Ukraine, Christian Palestinians in Gaza, it's kind of hard to say to them, rejoice. It's hard for someone that really suffers from chronic depression to say to them, rejoice. I don't think the call to rejoice is some Pollyannish kind of thing. Paul says we rejoice in the Lord. And even when the circumstances of our lives are not creating joy for us, even when the circumstances of our world are far from engendering joy, at the same time, if the source of our joy is not cake and cookies and a glass of wine, though that helps holy cheer, Aquinas would say, it's not going to be those exterior circumstances that are really going to be the source of our joy. Paul says we rejoice in the Lord. And even when life is difficult, even when there's a lot going on that saddens us, that causes gloom, we try to reach into that place where we find joy in the Lord. So this Sunday, we dot the church with a little bit of pink, I see. I added a little pink to the crowd myself. We've got that big pink streamer and that third candle lit, reminding us that in these last days of Advent now, part of our task is to announce joy. You do it when you send Christmas cards to somebody who's shut in. There's all kinds of ways that you are messengers of the joy. Maybe in the next few days leading up to Christmas, there are other ways that you might be able to bring that spark, that little bit of light into somebody's life, so that they too know that the sun is going to rise. However the darkness, the sun is born. As John the Baptist said, he is among us. Maybe we don't always recognize him, but he is among us. And may we, as a Eucharistic people, recognize again, as we celebrate his body and blood, he is among us. Christ does appear to us, come to us. If that doesn't give you at least a little bit of joy, I don't know what to do. we are joy. It's a Christian virtue. Or as Thomas Aquinas says, it's our Christian duty to exude a little bit of joy. Again, as you go about the day, you might use the Latin word, gaudete, just to shock the checkout person with gaudete. Or wherever the day leads you, it's Gaudete Sunday. So use the word, proclaim it, and let people look at you funny and give you a chance to say what it means. Rejoice. So, as we enter into the third week of Advent, which is also the last week of Advent because of the timing of all this, it's your last chance. This is your last chance this week to be messengers of joy. And let's try to engage in that as best we can.